typical disgusting display.
Tonight, we got him. Goldie and the Sulk.
This is a typical disgusting display. And it starts right now.
Oh, very funny intro. Still love it. It reminds me of the beat of the theme has a little bit of a Sopranos thing to it. I've noticed that too.
Good call.
Gives me that vibe.
And I've been watching it.
Yeah. Oh, what episode are you on?
5.
Okay, a little slower than I'd like, but still, I'm glad you're doing it. Are you watching it with Stu?
Sort of.
Okay,
He's seen the first 2 seasons, so he's listening while he fell asleep. So.
Well, please let us know.
Stu just constantly noodling on the bass in bed, just going.
No, but that would be amazing.
He's a professional bassist.
That's all he does.
He just keeps playing the Night Court theme over and over again.
And Seinfeld. And...
Or what was that?
Barney Miller. Yes, that would be amazing. We've done that.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, Night Court was boom, bam.
And then you got to get the horns. Anyway, welcome back to A Typical Disgusting Display, a podcast for writers by writers who hate writing, with Goldie and the Sulk, and of course our producer, JC.
Hello.
Hello.
Goldie, you can say hello too.
Nope.
Nope. He doesn't want to do it. Thought it was a private joke, and now will forever be out of the hellos. I love what it speaks to your mindset to think 2 people saying hello is a private joke that you're not in on. What a world you must live in.
Now that you can beg me to do it, and I'm not.
I know.
But when he did do it, you said it was the creepiest one. So I thought maybe that was why he wouldn't do it again.
No, I just feel like you developed this thing, and then I found out about it, and then you tried to act like it wasn't some secret, and then you probably now this is the joke.
No way.
It's like a layer on a layer, and I want no part of it.
Paranoid android. I am a paranoid android. Anyway, so apparently JC and I saying hello is an inside joke that Goldie will never be a part of. Forget it. But enough about that. I want to talk about just it's something that happened to me last night. And Goldie, I know you're going to relate to this. You and I probably both have a natural disdain for dinner parties.
Wrong. I like them.
You do?
It's a night I don't have to think about cooking.
Okay.
And my kids and their stupid little meal versus my real meal. And then everyone's complaining and no one likes what they got. And because I'm scrambling to make 2 dinners, one gets burned. So you want to invite me over to put the onus on you and I get to judge your dinner? I'm in.
Oh, God. Well, I totally misjudged that. And, of course, you and I have very different dinner experiences. I do not make dinner, as you know. Tall does.
You do nothing.
I do nothing. I take the garbage out. I want to be very clear about that.
That's
a lot
your
of
job.
garbage. I'm the garbage man. But Tall makes dinner. It's always excellent. And I enjoy sitting at home, so I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to talk to any other people except for my wife and child. So last night, that's the long way of saying, last night we had a neighborhood dinner party here on
Oh, good.
Cape Cod.
Super spreader event. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Well, you know, we got these ocean breezes here. Everyone's fine. Anyway,
It's not creating a swirl of COVID.
I know. Maybe we are. I hate to think about it because I'm always so preachy about it. Just be careful. Anyway, we had this neighborhood dinner party to say goodbye to the summer. You know, we had renters next door who were organizing this thing. And so it was a potluck, which I hate. I hate potluck dinners. It's like just, then again, to your point, Goldie, that puts the worry back in our camp.
May I interject? There's 2 things I said to already.
Yeah.
If you're a renter, no one wants you in their life. Don't be organizing neighborhood. You're a renter. You're an outsider.
But they were here all summer, and they were
Who cares?
They were very nice. They were very nice people. So
Bye.
I know. Normally, you're 100% right about this, but these people made an impression on the cove. People.
When you go to a hotel, I've been here 3 nights. I'm organizing a floor goodbye because I'm leaving. No one cares you're leaving. And then, in your opinion, summer is over. By the way, it's August 27th. Summer is in full effect for another 2-3 weeks. So, like, you're leaving doesn't mean, well, and now it's over for everyone. We don't care about you.
Well,
leave.
I'm so thematically on board with you and just the not caring in general, the comings and goings of anyone. It could be somebody who lives there permanently and they're leaving, and I'm like, I don't care. But anyway, so a potluck, which is annoying, was organized, and it's Mexican food. And as you remember from last week, I don't like Mexican food, and I didn't like Mexican food probably in one of the best places in the world to have it, which was Los Angeles. So I'm certainly not going to like homemade Mexican food on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, where it's just going to be awful. And so...
Did you have some queso?
Yeah.
You try the queso and the tortillas?
The tortillas and the empa-nothings. Oh, that's
First joke of the day. First joke of the day.
And that was for Goldie's, not mine. I don't want
Yes.
empa-nothings to get any credit there.
The queso.
I know you like that kind of joke. So anyway, we're walking over with Tal has made this, cold bean salad thing. And I know.
Here's your homework.
Oh, well, it's funny.
Bean salad.
Well, because she asked me this morning, she was like, "Did you like the bean salad? Did you have any?" I was like, "I didn't." She was like, "Why? Everyone had it."
You're
And I'm like,
honest.
"Wait." And I said, "Wait, ask me again." And she said, "No, because I don't want to be lied to." Because I was just going to say, "Yes, I enjoyed it," and the gratitude that my mediums for the scepter and scroll have taught me about.
Okay, so here's what we have. Let's go eat cold bean salad with renters. This is the value proposition.
Yep. So we're doing the forced march to our neighbors to do this. And as we're walking up, I see, and now here's a good part. Well, good and bad, as you'll realize. I see that there's a whole table set up in front for margaritas. It's got tequila, the lime, the salt, the ice maker, the thing. There's a guy making it. So instantly, and I say this to Paul as we're walking up, I say, all right, I'm going to have to ruin my tomorrow to get through this. Like, I can see a way through this. Like, I'm going to ruin my tomorrow, but I'll get through this.
Yeah.
So we get up there, bean salads are exchanged. I'm introduced to, 6 people over 80 years old. And then I'm handed...
That might be the right audience for a cold bean salad. At 5
Yeah. Oh, believe me, it was finished. It was finished, the cold bean salad, by the time we got, bringing the empty
Bart
dish back.
does very well with beans, provided it's after 5.
Yes, and that they chilled. They cannot be warm.
I cannot eat a hot bean.
Not on
I
a
can
summer
eat
night.
a cold bean.
So there were cold beans in abundance.
That lovely young couple in their 20s, because old people have no idea how old
Yeah, they
anyone
thought
is.
we were,
They
yeah.
brought a bean salad.
And look at that lovely dish. So the margaritas, start to flow.
Yeah.
And as we used to,
margaritas
did flow. And so, as we used to say about our friend Ted Jessup, oh, you'd hate to be a cold margarita around this guy right now. So I'm downing them, and they're being generously refilled. Like somebody is walking around with a container, shaker, and refilling them. So I thought I had 2, but I probably actually had closer to 4 before dinner. And then they're serving appetizers of quahogs dug out of the bay right in front of us. So it's ostensibly fresh, but I'm already piling things into my stomach that
don't like
maybe
you.
not
So
the
then these
best.
are raw.
They're raw, and they're served.
So you've
with
got raw fish and margaritas and maybe 1 cold bean and a totally empty stomach.
That's right. So that's all it is so far. And then we go in to eat in this sort of screened-in porch, very nice fans everywhere. So then they bring out there were actually empanadas. and a hot bean dish. So there were.
Well, what a fuck you to Tall right away.
Just over the
We
top.
heat our beans, okay, honey?
There was shredded pork. That's the way we do it. So as much as I don't like Mexican food, and the kids, by the way, there were kids there, and it was in the email invite, like, there'll be hot dogs for the kids. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm safe. I'll have a hot dog.
Oh,
And of
no.
course, forgetting that it's a New England event, everyone's so frugal that the hot dogs were perfectly numbered a portion for the number of kids that were there. So I would have literally had to push a 6-year-old out of the way to have a hot dog. So I can't have a hot dog. I'm out on the hot
I would have
dogs.
called the cops. At that point.
Yeah, you gotta have more
There's
hot
a
dogs.
bunch of old people in beans making a lot of noise down on Stoker Road. You break it up.
Stoker Road.
I don't know.
I don't know where. Scraggy Neck. You know that. Anyway.
Well, I didn't want to give away your
Yeah, that was-
address
That's
in
okay.
case
It's a-
someone
it's a-
heard this and was
it's a
like, I
big
gotta
road.
meet this guy and torture him.
Not gonna happen. Even you can stop it. I gotta meet this guy. Will never happen. So anyway, I'm a trooper, and I have an empanada, and I have, some of the warm bean salad, because who wants cold bean salad? Am I right? So I eat it.
Staring at Tall, eating a warm bean.
Look, these beans heated up really brings out the flavor. So, and also they're serving sangria, so I'm having more of that. And I'm actually kind of getting in, as predicted, it's the alcohol is totally propelling me through the night. I'm talking to people, I'm joking with people, like I'm trying to bring people into the conversations in ways that I don't do sober.
May
at
I
all.
ask what you're talking about?
We actually, one of the guys who was a young 76 was a huge Beatles fan. So, and he had met Paul McCartney twice. So we were talking a lot about that. We were bringing people in with their Beatles memories,
that's
and
great.
it was just it was a nice conversation for dinner. But I'm getting a little hammered and eating an empanada, and then of course they come around because they have like 3 glass dishes of empanadas. And so they came around more with it on a spatula over my plate. So I felt rude if I was like, no. So I put another one down. I have a couple more bites. Of course, this leads to 1:40 this morning. I wake up and the TV was still on. So my eyes were closed. So I thought it was morning because I could sort of see the TV light. And I'm like, oh, I made it to morning. My stomach doesn't feel great, but it's morning. It's fine. Then I open my eyes. I realize it's the TV. It's 1:40 in the morning. So it did. It ruined my day for a social event I didn't want to go to that I kind of enjoyed in the moment. But is any of that worth it? Shouldn't I have just stayed home and watched like Law and Order reruns or Alone on Netflix?
Well, look, I stopped drinking, and what's
Yeah.
great about not drinking is it's this silent judgment of everyone at a party, and it makes everyone sort of subtly question their own drinking subliminally. And it's a great thing to inflict on people when you're just, you hold one of these, you got your seltzer, like, you want anything? You say no. And then you don't feel any burden. You don't have that drunk thing where you feel you could say anything exciting because it's like, I'm sober. I can't.
But don't you just go insane and want to leave things when you're not drinking? Like, don't you
Well,
just...
I do. I leave them.
I know, but does that ever cause friction with Steph, who's like, why? Don't you want to stay? Don't you want to... Like, and then
No.
it leads to a tense car ride home. Like, she's okay with leaving when you do? When you want to leave?
No, she'll stay.
Oh, she'll stay.
Yeah.
great.
And then I'll
And you
just,
say Uber home?
yeah. And then, well, first of all, we haven't been out in, what, when did Garcetti sentence us to our beds? 2 years ago? When he said, you're not allowed to be more than 10 feet from your bed. So I've honored that.
Yeah.
To stop the spread of disease. No, I went to a friend's birthday on Sunday, and then it was an outdoor thing, and I stayed. And, at the end of the day, and I know you're gonna think I'm doing a bit. I like people.
Oh, yeah, you are totally doing a bit.
No, I like it.
I don't think
I
you do.
like it.
I think you hadn't been there. I like it. I think you hadn't been to a party in 2 years, and you were like, excited to be out again.
No, I like cubed cheese.
Well, that I know. This I
I
can verify.
like a diagonally sliced baguette.
Yeah.
I like all kinds of spiced meats that they have at parties in general. I like
Charcuterie.
I like candy.
Charcuterie.
Yeah. Well,
And then the
candy- who's got
conversation-
candy at a party? What party?
I
you
like
going
an
to?
M&M, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
I like
that's true.
sweets. They got a cake. I don't have cake at home.
Yeah.
My kids aren't there in general.
Yeah.
I will say, I don't drink. I haven't drank in maybe 20-something years, and I love watching people get drunk. I find that the inhibitions go down. You get to see them having fun.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because I don't drink it's
Yeah.
been so long.
Now, does Stu drink?
We quit drinking 2001, December
Okay.
1st, 2001.
Wow.
Oh, that sounds like an
He
ultimatum.
must have been
No.
a disaster. November of 2001. I wouldn't want to be around Stu. Do you know Stu was so bad he couldn't even play a very low F sharp.
Excellent bass joke.
But Alec, don't you like on the Cape, you're the youngest, hottest guy.
Yeah,
So
but that
don't
means
you like
nothing.
going to the party and showing off your tight little bod compared to all the senior citizens? And feeling, it's the one place you can feel young.
Well, that is true, but the alcohol helps with that, and never before or again will my bod be described as tight and little. But I appreciated that. I appreciated being objectified. What do you ladies have a problem with? Tight little bod, I love it. Thanks for the compliment.
I don't know that you know this about me, but maybe you do. Do you know I haven't baffed since 1992?
Really?
Yes, I've thrown up 3 times in my life, and not
my
since
God.
1992. I don't know how to throw up.
Well, I'm the same way, but sometimes it just has to happen.
Do you
I-
violently
I-
fight it?
I threw up a couple months ago, and it was the first time in probably almost a decade.
I once got seasick and couldn't throw up.
Oh.
Like, I just was like, I really need to barf, and I couldn't, and then the boat ride ended, and I walked to a parking lot and, fell over. And,
You do that a lot, though. You did that at a Cowboys game.
Oh, I did that. That's a great example. We went to the Dallas Cowboys. I think I had 16 drinks the prior day, and there was a point where I remember being in the pool at the Montage on the roof of this really nice hotel in Dallas. I was with our buddies, and at one point, our buddy Travis looked at me in the pool, and he's like, "I'm peeing right now." And I said, "Oh yeah?" And then I dove down and swam through his pee. That's how drunk I was.
Oh my
And I was like, I just swam through it. And anyway, so the next day we go to this Cowboys game, and I can't even walk. And it's, again, as you're describing, 98 degrees, full humidity. And I lie down in the grass outside the stadium, and these cops come by, and they said, "You're either going to have to go inside the stadium or to a hospital." I was like, I need a minute to think about this. And I went inside, and then fortunately we were in a booth, so I was able, and we were the only people in it, so I was able to lie down in the booth for the whole game, and then I was a little bit better. But like Stu, I do not drink. So
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
but you stopped about a year ago?
I
or
stopped
less
last Thanksgiving because there was a bottle of wine drunk by noon, and it felt like it was maybe causing a little
friction at home. At home. Yeah, that would do it. That a bottle by noon, I think, might do it.
felt like wasn't totally as in control as it used to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Felt like maybe the emotions that you're supposed to just sit on and die with were coming out everywhere and in all directions and very
It was
angrily.
also during the pandemic, right? So
Yeah.
It just, I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I'd had enough.
well, good.
And now look at me. Got it all figured out.
The pillar of happiness.
Thinking about maybe trying to barf soon. I don't know.
Whoa! Look at
Moving
this
up.
guy coming out of his shell. Well, that's hilarious. And I knew it would instigate a good talk about drinking. And apparently, I'm the only one on the panel now.
It's
But
okay.
I don't
You
drink
can
that
drink
much. Like when I drink,
right.
I don't. I drink maybe once every other week.
I saw margaritas and felt I had been saved. So then I made a dash for them, and then I downed a lot of them, and then I was having a good time briefly, and then I was very sick. I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem. Just picture walking into a thriller-style graveyard of people and then seeing margaritas. You're like, I'm going to go for the margaritas so I can hang out with these zombies.
A healthier person would say, I have one margarita. I've had one.
Nope.
I'm feeling a little something. I'm feeling a little more relaxed.
I was getting very charming. And by the way, there was a woman there named Bobby, an older woman named I know, it's such a Boston air.
There's Bobby, Tish, Dot.
Awesome.
It's like, and the other Dot.
Dot and Pearl.
Pearl.
But so there was a Bobby there last night, and she used to work at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Boston, and she told a wonderful story about how I held an umbrella over Mother Teresa. So that was a great, very Boston-style story. My friends saw me on the news, they fucking shit. You know, it was like basically that. It was like I held it over her head at a press conference. My friends had no idea. So that was an interesting story. And then weirdly at the end of the night on my way out, she was like, she said something like, I'd like to talk to you more about your comedy career. And as a joke, being sort of self-deprecating on my way out, I'm like, I have no problem talking about myself. And she said, yeah, I got that impression. Fuck you, Bobby. Go fucking hold an umbrella over Cardinal Law. Get out of my face.
I got that impression.
Yeah, maybe you weren't as charming as you thought. Maybe you just cornered Bobby and were screaming in her face. And then I wrote an episode where Peter...
I'm from Hollywood. I'm from Hollywood. Yeah,
you ever heard of A Million Ways to Die in the West?
No, I haven't.
I was one of 3 people to work on the screenplay pad.
I'm the original first draft until others came on board to save it. Anyway, so that was my night last night.
They would have hired me on Bram and Alice.
If I had more theater experience. All right, well, now we want to get into a story that everyone's been talking about this week, which is this Jeopardy, as Craig Kilborn would say, debacle. The Jeopardy debacle.
Yeah.
So briefly, everyone knows what happened. This guy, Mike Richards, who was an executive producer on the show Jeopardy, led a search to find someone to host the new show. And lo and behold, the search led to Mike Richards. And it was a total disaster. So Goldie, I know you've been thinking about this a lot, so why don't you talk a little bit?
Well, it's The Departed, right? Like,
Yes.
they have me launching an investigation, but I'm supposed to be investigating myself. And we work in TV. It's not quite the same game shows and comedy, but there is some overlap. And you often see and are the victim of how these decisions are made poorly. And it was just interesting to watch this unfold because all they had to do was anything other than what they did.
Yes. There were so many, in the multiverse of things they could have done, anything would have been better.
Any other human being on Earth.
Anyone.
And everyone accepts it. Maybe some a little bit begrudgingly. They might say, oh, I like Mayim Bialik better than Aaron Rodgers. So I thought LeVar Burton was better than Ken Jennings.
Yeah.
But that goes away in a week or two, and then we all are in the new reality of having a new Jeopardy host, which apparently a Jeopardy host is the most important thing in our society. I didn't realize.
Right.
Like
dominating the news cycle.
We need to all be focused on exactly not just who's going to be hosting it, but how they're chosen.
You know,
we own Jeopardy.
Yes.
It belongs to us, the people.
It's in the Constitution. Read it. Have you read it? I have. It guarantees life, liberty, and the pursuit of jeopardy.
And so part of it for me has been balancing this sort of hysteria, which, you know, I feel like now people get angry and they deliberately goose their own anger. And it becomes this contest of who can be the most outraged, who can then deploy their weaponized vocabulary and get a pelt on the wall.
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
people want to be the ones who took down the person who said boobies on a podcast in 2012 and thought they were going to get away with it. Well, they didn't.
Well, what happened, JC, was that he did some podcasts almost 10 years ago where they unearthed some derogatory remarks about women because he was working on The Price is Right at the time. I think he had some not great things to say about some of the spokesmodels and a couple of things about Jews that even I read what they were and they were like not that bad. But anyway. And
Once
then
you decide you're going to give it to someone, though, you can take anything and go,
Yeah.
and then they said this, because it's clearly
the
he's
worst
not
was-
funny, had a
Right, no.
comedy podcast, and was trying to be funny, and then probably in the moment was like, oh, you got pictures of boobies on your phone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Desperately grasping at anything, and in his, like, little pea brain that all it can do is promote himself, he's like, I could be like Dane Cook or Bill Burr if I asked her if she had boobies on her phone right now. That'll give me the breakthrough moment I need on this pod. And then the pod will be so good they'll say you should host Jeopardy because you're so good on the stupid podcast you have.
It was just all a botched snap. And one of the categories of people that he offended, which of course is somewhat hilarious, is the little people. So that's always in the paragraph about people he shit on. It was like women, Jews, and little people. It's like, oh my God, this guy's all over the place. And he also looks like every picture they use of him, it's the same one. It's that him in a tux. He looks like bulimic James Bond. Like it's just not. He's not a good look for this guy.
Well, it's also hilarious that now the name Michael Richards has been disgraced twice.
Yes, I got confused by that.
By the way, oh my God, you just absolutely kicked one of my Johnny jokes in the nuts.
Oh.
But that's okay.
It'll still
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
But I think we exist in this world of TV, and one of the sort of cardinal rules is the EP, the executive producer.
Yeah.
We call it an EP.
Yeah.
Sure, we're in the know.
You're an EP.
Yeah.
You're an
You,
EP.
Alex Sulkin, are an EP.
They
we call
me-
you the creepy EP.
The creepy EP. I love it.
So good.
You said it before I could. God damn it.
Well, it's my joke, and you tried to steal it. And again, that's a great example of what the EP cannot do. The EP cannot step on the talent. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so still with Jeopardy, this guy. So he shot himself in the foot. He named himself host, and then instantly was canceled by the angry mob that demands excellence in Jeopardy hosting for this nation,
Right.
for a show that maybe 100,000 people watch a night. So he's done. He had to step down. And
Right.
you
But
had
now
some.
he has.
He gone.
Now they've kept him as the executive producer, which again we talked about. So you shouldn't pick themselves. Although in history there is an example of this. Conan O'Brien was tasked by Lorne Michaels with finding the next host of the show after the Tonight Show, and he supposedly, was presented with Jon Stewart and said, "I don't know that I can work with him, but hey, here's an idea. What about me?"
But
didn't know
you
that.
would have to categorize that as a success.
Right.
Yes.
So
that-
maybe
that
I'm
worked.
saying that this guy thought, it's been 30 years since anyone pulled this ruse. Maybe it's time to give it a try. But what he didn't realize is we live in a time where if you record something and if people don't like you, if everyone liked him, there wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, like you or I could never be appointed host of anything at this point. Certainly
Really?
not me. Maybe you.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know that I would allow it to reach that stage for me. Although I will say on
yes.
my last show, I double dipped a little bit and I wrote the theme song.
Well, that's
What?
great.
That's
I
so
mean, nobody
cool.
gives a shit about that. Nobody gives a shit if you do that.
Right, but I was partially in charge of the search for a theme, but I will say the stuff I was presented with I didn't like, which made me go, I'm hearing a certain thing in my head.
Right. And
I
was that
gotta
cool?
just...
and was that remind me the theme was ay 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 ay. Was that it? No. Oh wait, wait.
It went
like
down and down and down and down, chicka down and down and down, down chicka down and down.
I love that. That sounds like Fraggle Rock, but that's good.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
like a nice uplifting 12-second piece of music that I wrote
I love it.
with the help of a guy named Andy Paley who does a lot of stuff for SpongeBob. He's great.
Oh, love SpongeBob. But
Yeah.
by the way, you bring that up. Of course, you remember the theme to Dads. Daddy took me to the zoo, and so
yeah.
we had this guy. His name is Mark Wyke. Very nice, talented. He was in a band called the Bogmen, a New York band back in the '90s. Bass player, like Stu. Cool. And the singer from that band came up with this theme that honestly was better than the show itself. It was very ethereal and light. But we had this writer, Tom Gamble, who hated the theme, like from the minute that he heard it, and he dubbed the name of the band. He said, "Who sang that? The Four Fruits?" He used to call them the Four Fruits, which is so funny. It's like
He
an
couldn't host
antiquated-
Jeopardy.
No, he couldn't host Jeopardy because
Not
he said
now.
Four Fruits.
Right.
Not anymore.
right. Yeah.
But I found that hilarious. So anyway, we're at this point where Michael Richards, he gone, as JC played, and it's off. It's really because we all worshipped Alex Trebek, right, Goldie?
I think that obviously, look, this is touching a nerve here.
Yes.
But Alex Trebek, he was around for a long time, so we all got used to it.
Yes.
Had he left the show under different circumstances, I think people would have just said, whoever they put in there, okay,
Right.
even if it was Mike Richards. But it was the nature of his public death and the way he dealt with it with such dignity, I think,
Ray.
then elevated this position of game show host to somehow sacrosanct, and people lost sight of the fact that, like, whoa. This is a game show where someone just reads answers and people say questions, and that's it. Like, he was not doing anything other than reading what was in front of him, and then if they got it right, going, yes. And if they got it wrong, going, I'm afraid not, it's this. And then he would do these 15-second interviews, which were very boring, of the contestants. Which
famously boring.
we made fun of on Family Guy, which he would say something like, you recently had an experience boarding a railway car. Well, that's right, Alex. I was at the train station in Saugus, which is outside Boston, and one of my bags got on, the other one didn't get off, and so when he said, all aboard, I said, yes, but not my bag.
and you wrote that joke, right?
That wasn't the one that was on Family Guy,
Right.
but I mean, that's the
something-
nature
it was
of the
something
stories.
about-
It was
it was something
it was
about milk.
always, it always felt like an unclosed circle. Like, yeah, you're pushing it. Look, we get the type of people who come on Jeopardy. They all work in insurance. They're boring. They're the type of
nerds.
people who like name lakes. Like that's none of it's interesting. So, and also like, I don't care who wins.
Yeah.
I don't get money, and also the sums of money now, which were big in the 1970s. You go like, you've won $6,400.76, and it's like, okay, yeah. But I again, when we talk about like the importance of this job,
Yeah, if you
are
practice.
people really, are that many people watching Jeopardy and that invested? Here's when I watch Jeopardy. If I'm hospitalized. If I'm at a rental house in a rural area where the internet is bad and the cable situation is dubious, and they have an old TV that is the wrong aspect ratio, it's 4:3 and not 16:9, I might watch Jeopardy.
That tracks.
If I'm visiting someone in a nursing home and I feel I can't leave yet out of guilt, I will sit with them and watch Jeopardy. When would you watch Jeopardy?
No, those are all great examples. Jeopardy, and we talked a little bit about this. If you're in a fight with your wife and the TV's just on, and you're not instead of watching one of your shows, because fuck that, we're not doing that tonight after the fight we just had. You just let it it goes from the local news into Jeopardy, and you quietly sit there. And if somebody calls out an answer, you say, "Yeah, that's obvious." So that's pretty much Jeopardy for me.
You've just received some very bad news about a close relative, and you're still in shock.
Jeopardy is a good sort of calming agent.
Yeah.
When Alex was hosting, that's for sure.
Yeah, but now who the hell knows? It's the Wild West out there for
Yeah.
Jeopardy hosts. We still don't know who it's going to be. Maybe by the time you people are hearing this, we'll know who it is. But my vote is for Ken Jennings. I think that he's the obvious choice, but we'll see. Ken Jennings, but
why not just go into a permanent rotation of guest hosts?
because that's annoying. People need continuity in their
Consistency.
lives. And Ken Jennings, by the way, was DQ'd, dinged, because of something that his podcast partner said many years ago. And I don't remember what it was, but I remember hearing the kerfuffle that it was like, well, we can't hire Ken Jennings because somebody else said something offensive and he was in
Wow.
the room.
Well, also, I think he was accused of having problematic tweets, which, to me, the word problematic, it just means I don't like it.
Yeah.
Right.
It
I
doesn't
agree.
mean there actually is a problem. It just means it's editorial. It's like,
Yeah, no, and he's actually a pretty funny guy on Twitter, so
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think they came down way too hard on him and that he should be the host.
yeah,
All right, anyway,
just give it to him.
give it to
Give
him.
it to LeVar.
Give it to LeVar Burton. We love LeVar Burton.
Give it to Aaron Rodgers.
Sure,
Give it
he
to
does-
anyone else.
Aaron Rodgers.
Anyone
doesn't-
else except what you did. Again.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to play football anymore anyway. Let's just give it to him. And he thinks he's kind of a funny guy. Anyway,
We solved it.
we solved the Jeopardy problem. Anyone but Michael Richards. But now it's time for Johnny jokes. Ooh, little variation.
I'm trying to be more professional in everything I do because now that I know they go back into podcasts and nail ya, I want to, when they come back and they get the objectionable parts, I want to go, well, what you missed were some good parts. Like here, I did a very professional voiceover.
Yes, yeah, that's going to count for a lot. And
I
also,
have my own clips I'm going to present.
and by the way, any of the negative things we say about Jews, we can say that because we are Jews, unproudly. All right, here we go. And remember, one of my Johnny jokes has been stepped on, but I'm doing it anyway because I have to.
Well, again, these are Johnny Carson style jokes
Johnny
for people who don't
Carson.
remember. This is something we do as writers to stay in shape, to keep in fighting trim.
That's right. It's our little mini Carson monologue to see if we can do it, which
Yeah.
usually we can't. All right. Here's a kind of a sad story. Last week, a Florida judge ruled that a criminal case can go forward against Scott Peterson, a safety officer at Parkland High School who failed to act when students were in danger. Yeah. Experts see the case as a chilling reminder to never name your child Scott Peterson. And we're off and running. Okay. Here's a fun thing for surfers if you like to hang loose. HBO has released a new documentary where surfers seek the ultimate thrill called the 100-foot wave. Yeah, sounds pretty rad. Coincidentally, the 100-foot wave is how I say goodbye to Ed after every show. We're not close, Ed and I. And here's the story everybody's talking about. Jeopardy executive Michael Richards has already had to step down as new host and is apologizing for a series of derogatory remarks he made against women, Jews, and little people. Yeah. Experts see the story as a chilling reminder to never name your child Michael Richards.
Feels very similar to Scott Peterson.
Well, it was. It was a callback.
It's
called a callback.
It felt like a.
Because you already stepped on it.
Felt
Don't
like a-
argue.
felt
Don't
like a-
argue with Johnny in the middle of a monologue. That's
Felt
very
like a
unprofessional.
cognitive error and a
Nope.
part of an overall mental decline.
An intentional callback as part of a theme, as we talked about last week, selling your jokes in chunks.
Better go see a neurologist.
Here we go. Speaking of better go see a neurologist, President Biden. Oh boy. President Biden announced last week that he does not recognize the Taliban as the rightful government in Afghanistan. Yeah. But in fairness, President Biden sometimes doesn't recognize his own wife. Who's that lady?
Goldie.
And we're moving on to the final joke.
It just
of
felt
Johnny
like hitting
Jokes.
a big bump while on a bicycle.
My schnutz. Okay, here we go. Here's another fun story people are talking about this week. Spencer Eldon, the now 30-year-old man who was the naked baby in a pool on Nirvana's famous Nevermind album cover, is suing the band. In a statement, Mr. Eldon said he wants the world to know that it was wrong. He wants the world to know that he's been hurt. But most importantly, he wants the world to know that the pool was very cold.
That was good.
All right, second Johnny, take it away.
That was
All
right. Very, very good. Very good, solid work this week.
All right, you're buying
this
it back.
was a tough week. The news just gets worse and worse every week.
boy.
We're living in basically the apocalypse. So here's my little take on that. All right. A new study says eating one hot dog takes 35 minutes off of your life, which caused Joey Chestnut to die 5 years ago. You have to know who Joey Chestnut is.
Yeah, the famous Nathan's hot dog eating
Yeah,
champion.
it made him die when that study
Yes.
came out. He's very much alive. He's with us.
Time-bending humor.
All right, here we go. Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is charging unvaccinated employees an additional $200 a month for health insurance. Sounds unfair, but if you pass away from COVID-19, that money will be converted to frequent Dyer miles.
Well, you know I'm a fan of that kind of joke.
That's all right. All right, here we go. Joke number 3. California is considering paying drug addicts to stay sober. Gee, I wonder what they'll use that money for. That was just a jab.
Little jab.
Okay. And here we go. I'm wrapping up already. I'm not. This is an in and out job for old Johnny number 2 here. Chaos reigned at the website OnlyFans this week, which banned X-rated content, then reversed the decision after a huge public outcry. It was a giant mess the company was forced to clean up with a sock that was lying next to the bed.
Excellent. Yes. I bet you knew which one you were closing with. That's great. Great. Very funny.
was great,
Very
guys.
funny
It
as
was funny.
usual. Oh my God. And that, by the way, that was a conscious choice to do the same exact punchline twice with a name. Don't name him this. Don't name him that. Don't tell me that I did that by accident. It wasn't good. I wouldn't argue with you that it was good.
After
but
something is coincidentally lined up and I've realized it, after it happened, I often do that to cover too. So I scramble and pretend it was intentional.
Josh McDaniels is going to destroy your cover too. All right. We got through Johnny jokes. Now, this is a perfect theme for this week. I think we put it on display. So this week, we're going to talk a little bit about, as writers, when you experience what we like to call burnout. And that's not from smoking pot every day for 30 years, or maybe it is, but this is creative burnout, when you feel like you just don't have it today or this week or this month. How do you get through it? Everybody experiences it. How do you deal with it? How do you keep going? So, Goldie, I know you had some thoughts on this.
Well, to me, this is different from writer's block, which writer's block is you feel like, oh my God, I have no ideas. I can't write. I don't know what to write about. I just can't even picture writing. And this to me is, you could write. I have ideas, but I just don't wanna.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it.
Yep.
What's the point? So this may be depression. I'm going through it right now, and it has a lot of the same symptoms. I mean, there's a lot of sort of lying face down in a pillow at 11:48 a.m., wandering the house aimlessly, eating corn nuts, then feeling bad I ate corn nuts, then sort of looking for other stuff to eat, not liking it, I have ideas. I just don't know why I want to start doing them. I don't want to engage in the whole process of creating characters. I don't want to pitch anyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. And for me, it's as you get older, it just gets harder, not creatively, which I feel like it actually gets easier because you know so many tricks that you can get your way through anything on tricks.
Yes.
As opposed to, when you're younger and maybe you don't know just the forms as well. And so every time you're sitting down, you're learning the rudimentary aspects of it. I know all that stuff. I got that stuff down. And I can bullshit my way through a script with act breaks and turns and act blows and that sort of thing. But I think...
Don't say that about your act.
Okay. But this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do just to get to the point to sit down to do this podcast today, okay? Or to sit down to write.
So this is your burnout pre-podcast and how you plow through it.
No, I'm saying this may be why I'm burned out. Like when 15 years ago, if I wanted to write, I just had to get up, make myself a coffee, and sit down with no regard for anything else in the world. There was no COVID.
Maybe a nice bottle or two of wine.
Sure. I didn't own a house, so if California was on fire, I was renting.
Yes.
It didn't matter. I mean, I wasn't throwing parties at the end of the summer for everyone on the street. But now, as you get older and you get more experience and you accumulate life, like, so here's everything I've done before I sit down to do this podcast. So I wake up. It's 6:15. I've woken up 2 or 3 times throughout the night because either a child or a dog has moved into my bed or out of my bed.
Right.
So it's 6:15. I get up and I say, "Hey, I'm gonna look at the news on my phone." I take my phone out and then I hear a child and then I'm like, "Well, I don't even get that moment. That's been seized from me. I'm not gonna get to do that." So I go, I feed the dog while I make the coffee, and then maybe I look at the news a little bit. Maybe I play one song on guitar. That's my me time for the day.
Wait, but does coffee allow you shit time? Like, do you get like a 20-minute?
I'm getting that. I'm getting that. Sorry. I may be wired different than you. Do you really think I was going to skip over that?
No, I hope not. I hope not. Because that might be your problem there.
So then I got to start the breakfast for the kids, which they, of course, whatever I make, they don't want.
Yep.
Got to get them their clothes situation settled. They don't want to get in the clothes. They want it to be the weekend. They don't want to go to school because school is masked and all these horrible things now. And then I have to, do this big performance of how not bad it is. While in my head, I'm like, this is fucking awful. I wouldn't go to school. And in fact, I don't respect them for letting me force them to go to school. Right. They should be fighting harder and convincing me to the point where I allow them to stay home. But they don't do that. So then I'm judging their lack of determination and will. Yeah, to get out of school. So then I got my coffee. I take the dog out. Mid-walk, I realize I've made a fatal mistake by not doing the bathroom stuff first. But it's too late at that point. And so I'm watching a dog just doing exactly what I wish I were doing.
A fatal mistake.
And losing my mind. I get home. Of course, everyone has questions for me, like I just invaded a country and it's a press conference. And all I want to do is go to the bathroom for what is going to be a white-knuckle disaster. Best case scenario, I'll only be woozy afterwards, lightheaded.
What's the worst case scenario? Death on the toilet?
Sometimes there's like leg cramps.
Yes.
Appendages have fallen asleep. A bizarre pain that you can't pinpoint where it is, but it is pain somehow.
Yep.
How do you not know where it's ghost pain? It's out. It's somehow out 2 inches outside your body. You're in pain. I have to rally from that to get the sunscreen on, the mask, get the kids to school, and since my kids are 5 years apart, they don't walk at the same speed.
Oh,
So-
that's a bummer.
The older one wants to go faster. The younger one is dragging, and so now the older one, I'll sort of let her go ahead. I can keep an eye on her, and I'll bike the younger one there. Then at the gates of the school, the younger one will always say, I don't feel well, which she feels fine. But the fact that she's saying this and that other parents can hear this, I'm like, no. What she means is
She's fine.
she's unhappy because she has to go to school. She's not.
She has
None of
allergies.
us is sick. We're totally fine. And then I get home, and it's like I'm supposed to go, yeah, all right, so this newsroom sitcom. The character of Dell.
He's a grizzled old timer who's
He's
seen.
caught in a love triangle with Naj, and it's like, what? Why the fuck would I care about any of this?
Yeah. Well, see, the funny thing is, you're very accurately describing a certain kind of burnout, but I'm not hearing. Are there solutions?
You mean I don't care?
Are there suggestions for people who might be listening to how?
No,
to
I
deal?
wanted to present you with this and see what you said, because I'm in the role of the listener, where it's I too
Yes.
have this. I don't know what to do,
Right.
and I'm throwing it out there to see if maybe we can figure a way out of this for me and them.
Well, first of all, you have to. One thing that you can do. I mean, I don't know exactly how to tell you to do this, but you can prioritize your shit. Prioritize
the
you
literal
taking a shit. Like, prioritize that. So, coffee, yes, make the kids the food, and then say, I have to go do this. Then, once you take a shit and it's satisfying, your day is much different. Your day is a lot different if you're not, because what you described, I've been through that. Needing to take a shit, and you're out walking your dog, so you're at least 5 to 10 minutes away from even possibly being able to do that. Then that screws up your window. You know, your trajectory of an astronaut re-entering the atmosphere. They have a window that they can come in. So that's the same with shitting. It's like it's a certain narrow window where it's going to be best. Mm-hmm. And I think that you just have to honor that. If you honor your shit window, I think your day will be much better.
You're spoken like someone who only has one child.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You know nothing. You might as well have 0 children. It doesn't count what you're going through. It's impossible.
I think you can carve that out. I think you can take a stand. Or take a sit. Take a squat.
I can't carve anything out. Someone needs something from me at all times. So
I'm telling you, if you go into a bathroom with a closed door and then at least get Steph to help you with daddy's pooping, then maybe it'll change.
I don't want
your
to
day.
trade the collateral that would take.
We'll see.
God knows what I would have to do to make up for that.
You're swatting my suggestions away.
No.
Beyond that,
So far, we're not talking about writing at all.
I know,
You're
we're
just
talking
giving
about
advice on
shitting.
how to shit.
I know. Well, I'm telling you, they're hand in anus.
That isn't the problem to me. I mean, the real problem to me is this, since COVID started and just, school can be called off and work can be called off and work is now from home. Like, we all know it. It's all bullshit that nothing actually needs to happen anymore, or so few things need to happen.
Right.
That everything is elective.
Right.
Yeah.
And that what we used to do in 8 hours, we now go like, okay, if we can all get together online, we'll take care of this in 3.
Right.
And we don't actually need to have it because everyone's missing deadlines because of COVID, because we can't get this person to line up because they're busy with this. And it just all seems like, why are we doing any of this?
Well, do you think maybe...
And you go, why do we need a... No one watches sitcoms anymore,
I
right?
know,
Which is what we specialize in.
Yes, that's
There's
true.
no market for that.
But there is in streaming, because you get the Ted Lassos. I know you have your feelings about that, but there are other shows that break through on streaming services that people get into and they binge and they win Emmys and they're praised and these people are given giant deals. But here's
When
the
do
thing
those
that-
people shit?
Well, I'm sure when they want to. You think Ryan Murphy isn't taking a shit when he wants to?
When's Liz Merriweather shitting?
Let's find out. We'll find out next
We'll
time.
bring her on.
But here's the bigger point that you brought up, because you mentioned COVID. And it could just be that all of this is a symptom, no pun intended, or pun intended probably because it's me, of COVID. There's a malaise, as Jimmy Carter said, on our nation and the world. And so why would you be gung-ho about my newsroom script with Dell and Taj? Why would you care about that? Because we're in the middle of this pandemic that's affecting every moment of our lives in some way. So it's hard to get that passionate about, this, I've got an idea for a 6-part, limited series for Crackle.
Right.
It's not really going to be firing you up the way, as you said, 10, 15 years ago, and there are still basically 3/5 networks to work with, where you think like, okay, I have an in at this network.